Welcome to the Making Plays Convo with me, J1, head of hip hop for Pandora. This is the place you find out the plays your favorite artists, influencers, and moguls are making and how they do it. Make sure you subscribe and hit the notification button so you don't miss out on any exclusive content.
The mayor of R&B is here.
Hello, how are you, sir?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm awesome.
Man, appreciate you taking the time out to talk with me. This is the Making Plays Convo. We just going to be talking about all the phenomenal plays that you've been making throughout the years and how you did it. But I also like to ask, how are your people doing during these times?
First of all, thank you for having me. I truly appreciate any time it takes that someone would take the time to hit me up and ask me to do this. My family is good. My immediate family is good. Though I have lost some childhood people from, like my church who, elders who, I'm from New Haven, Connecticut.
Yeah.
So I have lost quite a few people on that aspect of it, but my immediate family, they're pretty good. And I've been quarantining for years, so this is where I am. Like when they said, "Oh, you got to be in the house." Okay.
So it really was an adjustment for you.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Well, you've been making plays for a very long time. Three-time Grammy winner, produced for so many mega artists, the late, great Whitney Houston, Aretha Franklin, Boyz II Men, Tyrese, B2K, Jacquees, Tank, Drew Hill. The list goes on and on. But I really want to go back to the beginning on how did you get into producing? Like, what attracted you to it, and how'd you get started?
I was an artist first, and I was in local groups and everything in my hometown. And my grandfather played piano, though I didn't know him for that. I met him by the time I really got into anything that he did. He was dead, and I didn't know he was as musical. And then my dad died before I was born, so he played piano and bass. So the music is in me. But I remember when I first tried to learn how to play piano, I thought it was simple, and when it wasn't, it became a challenge. So I challenged myself to learn, and then I guess the music just took over because since I was a kid, young, in nursery school, I remember hearing the radio.
Yeah,
You know what I mean, and hearing Stevie Wonder, Isley Brothers, hearing Steely Dan, the Doobie Brothers, just music that when I hear it, it brings me right back to nursery school. And so, but I remember the arrangements and everything, and that just stuck with me over these years. And so when it came time to make music, it was like, oh, I could do this for myself. I can like do what they do.
right.
And so I think that's how I eased into doing production more so just doing songs for myself instead of, relying on other people. So that's how I kind of got into production and making music for my project as an artist. But then I soon smartened up and realized I didn't want to be an artist anymore. So I realized that after I signed with Motown and I worked with Boyz II Men, and when they came out, I just realized, you know what, I don't want to do this. I want to be behind the scenes. It's easier. I can be me. I can do me. I'm not putting all my eggs in one basket. So yeah.
When did you realize that you had such an ear or a knack for R&B?
But again, it started when I was younger,
Right.
because all the arrangements that I heard for Stevie Wonder, it stuck with me. Like, and I didn't know until I started learning how to play, trying to mimic the arrangements that I heard. And like, then when I graduated from high school, I did go to Hartford Conservatory because my mom, she made a deal with me. She said, after you graduate, you have to, you got to pick a school.
Right.
And see, I'm not a school person. I don't like school. I really don't.
Okay.
But because I had to choose something, my music teacher, Mr. Bowie at the time, he suggested a conservatory in Hartford that was 45 minutes away. And it was like, it's a 2-year program. So I thought that was perfect. Like 2 years and I'm out? Okay,
Yeah,
great.
you did.
I'll take it. I'll take it. So I did that. But within that, I learned jazz theory, record production. And the jazz theory taught me the chords. So when I started learning the chords and then going back to a Stevie Wonder record, and I'm like, ooh, that's the
Yeah,
that's the chord. And
got
then,
you.
started opening me up to learn how to put my chords together.
So let's talk about your creative process, because how does it work? Do you make beats with an artist in mind, or does the artist hit you up and say they have a specific type of sound or type of flow they want, or do you just make beats that sound good and then play them for various artists?
I just make music.
Okay.
I make music, I perfect it, make sure that the production is tight, make sure there's room for the vocals, make
Mm-hmm.
sure that, the arrangement is good. If I do write it myself, okay, but then I'll just, lately for the last few years, I'll just make a folder of tracks. I
Mm-hmm.
collaborate with other producers, young producers, um, and just send them out to songwriters.
Okay.
And the goal is to get great songs that I could pitch to to other artists.
Makes sense. So, how involved are you in the completion of the actual finished song? Because many producers, they'll send the track or they'll send the sample track out with, whatever, whoever you have singing on it, and they'll just keep it moving. If the artist says, "Oh, I like it," and then that's it. But are you there from like start to finish? Are you in the studio with them? Or are you saying, "Hey, try this"? Or are you kind of coaching them along with it?
Oh, am I a producer or a beat maker?
Hmm?
That's the question.
Oh, okay. There we
Yeah.
go.
Yeah, that's what you're asking. No, I see it through, and if it's to a point where I'm not there with them, I make sure that you know write that over, sing that over. If we got to go on FaceTime to make sure,
Mm,
and that's only because now of the pandemic, but I'm a vocal producer as well.
okay.
So it's after the production, it goes into vocal production.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You said something very profound. There's a beat maker and then there are producers. I think
Mm-hmm.
there are a lot of beat makers out there that are saying they're
Mm.
producers.
No, here's the funny part. They think that just because they did the track, they're a producer, period.
Mm,
It's only the music. You only produce the music. What about the
right,
rest of the song?
right.
So if you didn't do the lyric melody or make sure the lyric melody got on your track, you're only half a producer because you didn't do the rest. But these kids think that if they do a track, that they're the producer of the whole song.
Mm.
So it's a little misconstrued, but it's new generation, new mentality.
So, who was your most memorable artist to work with?
Mm, I have many. I have many.
Give me your top three.
My top three:
Yes.
Aretha Franklin,
Mm,
Whitney Houston,
yes.
and Trey Songz.
Trey Songz. Okay, okay.
Hmm.
That's a good three right there. Were there any like memorable moments out of either one of those three that just stick out to you?
Mm. Watching Aretha Franklin record um, 6 or 7 or 8 tracks straight down, no lyric sheet. Walk out
Wow.
of the booth and say, see what you can do with that. If you need me to do anything, let me know.
Mm,
Incredible, and know exactly what she wanted to do with the song.
mm,
That told me a lot. It's like this is why she is who she is. Because back in the day, they would listen to the demo, they would study the demo, and they would
right.
get it to where they know what they want to do, and then they would have it down packed to what and they would record, and they don't need the lyrics. They learned this, they studied the song before the session began. You got
Wow.
these kids that's so lazy now, they just do line by line, and there's nothing wrong with
Yeah.
that. There's nothing wrong with that at all. But it's just watching a professional like Aretha, like a icon, just sing straight down without
Mm,
stopping. And then there's Whitney. Um, she was so funny. Like I had a great time working with her because she was hilarious. I don't even
yeah.
know how people thought how funny she really was, comedian
Wow.
wise. But in 2003, when I was working with her, I recorded a session of me recording her on the Christmas record that I
Hmm.
did. And I have footage vocal footage of audio footage of me working with her and her like cursing me out when I pushed her or made her do things over and over again. And so I cherish that because that was 2003. She didn't pass to 2012, I think. And
Yeah.
so it's like I didn't know, like, 9 years later she would be gone.
Mm.
But I had that moment caught, captured.
Yeah. Wow. And what about Trey?
So one good thing about Trey is he listened to everything that I said without question.
Mm.
And you don't get that nowadays. These kids are smart, Alex. They think they know everything. You can't tell them nothing. But Trey, he held on to everything that I said. If I said do it over 10 times, he's going to do it over 12. If I
Wow.
say, no matter what, there was no, huh? Yo, can you listen to it again? Yo, so you don't think that da-da-da-da? I hate that like Jedi mind trick when you say something to somebody and you said what you said, but they go,
Right.
so you don't think that what did I just say? Like, I'm not changing my mind. So asking me in another version of it, of the question, is not going to make me change my mind. He never did any of that. He just did it. And he dedicated himself to being, excellent. I'm not going to say perfect because there's no such thing
Right.
as perfect, but there is a such thing as excellence. And he made sure that he did everything that I told him, because in his mind it was like, you're the professional and I don't know how to do this, so I'm learning. So if you say do
Mm.
it over, I'm gonna do it. What's the question? I don't know to question. So,
Yeah.
and when he got up to a point where I could trust him to do it himself, you know what I mean? Then it was my time to trust him.
Mm.
Yeah.
So what about the most recent collaboration or the most recent record you guys did, How Many Times, which I obviously really spoke on a lot of the issues that we've been going through, but the current situation of what we're dealing with right now and the fight for racial equality.
hmm Um, the ironic thing is, Trey and I, as well as Carl Thomas and I, we have this thing with this synergy thing where we're so close that we can feel each other no matter how far we are.
Mm.
I was feeling like there's only, you know what? Let me stop for a second. Let me see if you can answer this question. There is only one person that would have had a major dope anthem, black anthem by now. There's one person that would have had it by now, and we would be killing it. Who's that person?
He said one person that would have had a major black anthem right now,
Mm-hmm.
and who would have killed it?
Only one person who would have nailed it.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say Marvin Gaye.
He's good.
Well, oh, you said who would have had?
Now,
Right
and they're
now.
alive. Yes.
Oh, and they're alive right now.
Mm-hmm.
You got me stumped. I'm gonna go with the safe choice to say Beyonce.
Nope, she already did one. But I'm talking about he would have had it. He would have had it as soon as Black Lives Matter started.
But it had as soon as Black Lives Matter started, R&B singer,
Yep.
and is alive.
Mm-hmm.
Oh Lord.
R.
Somebody
Kelly.
say it. Yep.
R.
Somebody say
Kelly.
in the comments. Yep. You're
R.
right.
Kelly would have had a major dope Black Anthem record. So because he canceled himself out, I felt like Trey has the juice now.
Mm.
So I felt like, like if there's anybody who's going to do it, Trey has the opportunity to lead the pack. So while I'm feeling that, a couple of days later, Trey hits me like 4:30 in the morning. Of course, it was 4:30 in the morning my time, but it wasn't 4:30 in the morning his time. And he was like, "Yo, man, we really need to. I really been feeling like we need to put something together, man. I have so much I want to say." And he was
Right.
going through this mental, emotional thing that he was dealing with prior to him hitting me. And so I said, man, I was already on it. So I already had the track. Again, when you asked me earlier what comes first, or sometimes like, so I'll just do music
Mm-hmm.
and do different types of music for moments like this. That by the time he hit me, I already had the track in mind. So I
Wow.
sent it to him and he wrote it. That song was done literally in 3 days. That's
Wow.
including the choir, because my co-producer Troy Oliver,
Mm-hmm.
um, I was like, "Yo, we need a choir," and he plays for churches here in Atlanta too, as well. And he's also a major producer, and he did Differences for Genuine. So and I've known him because he's from New Haven, Connecticut.
Yeah.
His matter of fact, let me tie all this together. His aunt was my favorite nursery school teacher.
Damn.
So,
Okay.
so let me just go back because I mentioned nursery school. But anyway, 'cause I just thought about that. But I was like, yo, man, and his name is Troy, so it's like, well, Troy. So I was like,
Yeah.
dude, we need a choir. So he put a group together, and they came here right in the studio, right behind me, set up the mic, and we did the choir to it. And then I had John Marie, who's one of my dearest friends, engineer, mix it right away. He does a lot of the mixing for Trey Songz, stuff that I do for Trey Songz, and other stuff
Mm-hmm.
too. But the majority of the Trey records that I've done, it's either John Marie or Jason Joshua. But he put it together real fast, man, and we got this thing out, and we dedicated a lot of the
Yeah.
charity, to charity, the proceeds to charity, or to the families. And so I would say that that's probably going to be one of my most effective songs that I've done in my career. For
Yeah.
sure. For sure. Definitely.
It's an amazing song, and
Thank you.
that's an incredible story how it came together so quickly, and
Yeah.
it's just so very powerful. So, I'm sure you've heard people say, or the arguments that R&B isn't what it used to be, and you hear that narrative all the time. For somebody like yourself who has worked with singers across so many different generations, um, why do you feel people say that, or what is your stance on that?
I mean, it's different. It's going to change the way has always changed. Let's look at, Motown era.
Hmm.
When the Motown era in the 60s was doing their thing for R&B, the 70s came. And the 70s changed the sound. So the Motown era is looking at the 70s like, ugh, that's what y'all doing now? And then when the 70s was over,
Yeah.
the 80s came. And then the 80s and 70s look at the 80s and go, ugh, that's what y'all doing now? And so the 90s come and look at the 80s and go, ugh, we're doing this way. And then the 2000s come and look at the 90s and like, ugh. So it's progression. It's the way it goes. I think the kids are leading the way musically now, and the lack of knowledge that the kids have now, it devalues the music. And I don't want that to sound like I'm dissing the music, and that's not what I'm saying. But they don't really know music as far as musicality, as far as chords and
Yeah.
progressions. So they tend to do, two and three chords, or it's they put a loop together, a vibe, and they put a vibe together, and it's like
Yeah.
one big vibe. It don't change. There's no bridges, there's no harmonies, and it just stays linear. You really just stays basic, and there's no progression,
Right.
and also it comes and goes. Like you put out something today, it'll last at least maybe 3-4 days before
Mm.
you're done with it.
Yeah.
I don't feel like the music really sticks as it used to be because there's no substance in it that makes people want to hold on to it. You know
Mm.
what you felt like when you heard Thriller for the first time. You
Oh,
remember where
yeah.
you was.
Yeah.
It's something that sticks in your mind. Good music will do that to you.
Yeah.
But the music of today, it's just like, oh yeah, I heard that. The end. And
Mm.
it's like, dang, what can we do to make it stick? And so the difference between the 90s R&B and now is that and another point, the kids don't really go to church now.
Mm.
They don't sing in church no more. You know, they
Yeah.
don't they're not church singers. Like you remember the church singers back in the 80s and 90s, they came out of the church and got into R&B. There's
Right.
not really a lot of church singers anymore. So
Mm.
it's like the runs are not there because the auto tune is there.
Yeah.
And it's really sterile. It's not really as effective. The tone, everyone sounds alike because the auto tune strips your tone, and it
Mm.
makes everybody kind of sound alike.
Yeah.
And the cadences are the same. So my thing is, when I elected myself as mayor of R&B, I elected myself
You
as
elected yourself.
I
I like
elected
it.
myself, and I went
I'm
on a
here for
campaign. I started a
it.
campaign to say, you know what? It's not. It's all perspective and opinion to say the difference between my music and my music growing up and today's music. I can't. I won't diss the music of today because
Right.
it's not my place to do that. Because I remember when I was younger and the New Jack Swing started, a lot of people before the New Jack Swing listened to the New Jack Swing and like, oh, that's too hard, that's distorted, the kick is
Mm.
distorted. They're saying, we like, yo, that kick is hard, like, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
But they're like, it's
yeah.
distorted, it's nothing but noise, and it's, you know what I mean? So it's like now I'm the OG, so I
Right,
can't go back and do these kids like how the OGs before me did me. So it's like, you know
right.
what? All right, I get it. What if we take today's music and add
Mm.
a bridge?
Mm.
What if we take today's music and add some harmonies? Same music, not changing, but adding
Right.
to it. So as mayor of R&B, that is what this was all about. The campaign to say, okay, no. I'm not here to change the music. I'm not here to
Right.
judge it. I'm here to add to it, to give it a little bit more dimension.
You know, you hit on so many good points right there, and I it kind of takes me to my next question. How have you been able to continue to progress yourself or stay current with the times and stuff? Because you talked about how the 70s or the 60s looked at the 70s as like, what's that? And then so on and so on. But you've produced, you know, throughout all these decades, and it still sounds relevant, but it's still good music.
So I'm constantly, even today, all day in my room, because I have my setup in my room. I let this be for the for the kids to work and stuff, but this is not my vibe. My vibe is upstairs in my room, like I when I was a teenager.
Hmm.
But I am constantly listening to the drum patterns, the hi hats, the kick sounds, the snare sounds, and going, okay, this is what the kids are doing now. All right, cool.
Okay.
Let me get that pack. Let me make sure I got the up, the latest kicks, sounds, all the
Mm.
sounds, and making sure that I'm studying and keeping up with what's going on. Because a lot of people my generation got chips on their shoulder and they're mad because it's
Mm.
like, oh, they're stuck in their ways. I've
Right.
always progressed as music progressed. So my thing is it's challenge. It's a challenge to myself to say I don't want to be sounding like no old fogey. Like I'm 52, but I feel like 32. So I'm not gonna have
Right, right.
no 52 sounding R&B. Like you know what I'm saying? I will do my same progressions in my traditional R&B because I love R&B. But when it comes to them drums and making sure that it's hitting hard and that it can be blended with today's sound, that's my responsibility to make sure I'm staying up with what's going on. So I just do that, and I keep kids around me all the time, young producers. I'm always mentoring
Hmm.
young producers, young writers, young artists. I've been doing that since high school.
Yeah.
Because I was the kid with the 8 track and the keyboards and the drum machine in the room, and you know what I mean. Like everybody was like,
Right,
"Oh,
right.
is that you? You recorded that yourself? That's all you in the harmonies too?" I was that kid. So I'm doing the same thing that I used to do and staying up with what's going on because, um, I can't expect today's music to have my mentality, but I can take my mentality and put it to today's music.
Man, said a lot right there. It makes so much sense, especially the part about, keeping younger producers around you. And that speaks a lot to your character because some, OGs, they feel threatened and say, oh, he might take my shine or she might take my shine. But the
Nah.
fact that you have them around you is again speaks volumes of your character. I'm gonna wrap it up on this question right here, and I really appreciate the gems that you've dropped. What advice would you give to up and coming aspiring producers?
So the main advice I would give is perfect your craft. Please perfect your craft. Don't just get so hyped up that when you do something so quick and it's hot that you're there. You're not there yet. You just got started. Here's the funny part about, when you get a hot record, if you get a hit record and you did it real quick and you just did it and it was hot and it was a vibe and it was a moment, but you don't maintain how you did it and take in consideration what the steps you did to do it. When you get hot and they start asking you to do it again, You won't know how to do it again. So I would say producers to really take your time and study your craft, perfect your craft, perfect it. Don't be perfect. Perfect your craft and make sure that you add emotion into your music, because a lot of people produce their tracks and they forget there's going to be a song on top of it. So they'll junk up the track and it'll be dope and everybody's like, and I'm like, where's the singer going to sing? Like,
Right.
make some room for the singer, for the lyric and melody. It's like, so they
Yeah.
don't think about that because there's no lyric melody when they're making it. So they don't sing along with their track to say, okay, let me break it down for the verse. Let me bring, build up B section and hook, forms. You know what I mean? They gotta study. You could take today's music and you could still arrange it the way that it should go to build, so that as it goes, you take people on a journey. So I would say that, and I would say, your music is a gift. Definitely was a gift, and it was God given. And do not get so caught up in the gift and forget the giver.
Woo. I think that's a perfect way to end this conversation right there. That's it right there, man. I mean, shoot, if all hearts and minds are satisfied, you know what I mean? Like, come to the altar. But nah, man, I really appreciate this conversation. I know I learned a lot. I'm sure there's a lot of people on this live that learned a lot. I'm going to make sure that I get this up on my YouTube page. So if you came in halfway or you couldn't see the whole conversation, that you can go back and take notes. Because I know I'm going to do it. I'm not even a producer. I'm going to take notes. But no, I really appreciate you. And, keep bridging the gap for R&B between, what's going on now and like the importance of R&B in the past. Because it's so important to our culture and it needs to be given more shine.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much again for having me.
Yes, thank you. Be safe.
You too.
Take care.